If you own a home in Florida, you already know the elements don't play fair. A Category 4 storm can tear through a backyard in minutes, turning lawn furniture into projectiles and shredding whatever is left behind. Because of this constant environmental pressure, leaving your patio completely open and unprotected means you basically can't use it for half the year. This threat assessment graphic lays out exactly what we're up against. First, peak summer temperatures regularly hit 90 to 100 degrees with oppressive humidity. Second, Florida carries a top-tier risk for mosquito-borne diseases. And finally, coastal wind loads can exceed 175 miles per hour. To actually enjoy your backyard, you have to put a barrier between you and those elements. But deciding how to build that barrier forces you into a pretty massive financial dilemma. Reclaiming your outdoor space requires serious climate defense. The materials you choose to enclose that space will be one of the most expensive and critical decisions you make for your property. When it comes down to it, you really have two main contenders: a fully sealed impact glass sunroom or a highly engineered screen enclosure. And here's the cost breakdown. The red bar shows a glass sunroom starting at $80,000 to $100,000, while the blue bar shows a comparable screen cage running $25,000 to $35,000. Glass costs up to 4 times as much. That price gap makes you wonder, is the cheaper screen cage going to blow away in the next storm? Or is spending $100,000 on a glass room a massive overcorrection? To figure out which one actually makes sense for your home, we need to run a strategic comparison. We're going to look at the rigid structural building codes, the daily thermal comfort, and the true return on your investment. Choosing your enclosure is a strict engineering and climate response calculation. Let's start with Florida's most severe engineering test, the invisible, highly destructive forces of coastal hurricane wind loads. The Florida Building Code enforces strict survival standards. Under Section 1609, your structure has to be engineered to withstand baseline winds of 140 miles per hour, pushing past 175 miles per hour on the coast. Glass sunrooms achieve this by relying on ultra-heavy impact windows. Because of that extreme weight, you usually have to dig and pour massive, expensive concrete foundation reinforcements just to hold it all up. Screen enclosures take a different approach. This compliance map shows they use heavy-gauge aluminum profiles tailored to your wind zone. Central Florida needs standard 5-inch profiles, but high-velocity hurricane zones like Miami-Dade require massive 7 to 8-inch reinforced beams. And to handle the intense upward pull of a hurricane, this diagram details how those heavy frames are bolted deep into the structural concrete footer, firmly. When engineered and anchored to these local codes, an aluminum screen frame is every bit as structurally sound as a brick and glass room. But an aluminum frame isn't a solid wall. The obvious weak point here is the screen mesh itself, which sits directly in the path of flying debris. Add to that the coastal salt air and heavy humidity, which will rapidly eat through standard steel hardware and cheap builder-grade metals. To prevent your frame from rotting out in a few years, contractors have to use marine-grade, powder-coated aluminum and hardened stainless steel fasteners. Explanatory. This brings us to a specific engineering strategy written into the Florida building codes for screens, called sacrificial design. If a Category 4 or 5 storm hits, the code actually expects the screen mesh to tear or blow out. By sacrificing that cheap fabric, the structure instantly relieves the massive wind pressure, keeping the expensive aluminum frame firmly planted in the ground. Here is the trade-off you make. You save tens of thousands of dollars on the initial build, but you have to accept the minor maintenance cost of replacing those mesh panels every 10 to 15 years.
Glass rooms try to fight storms by acting as an expensive, immovable wall. Screen cages survive by yielding to the pressure and letting the wind pass through. Surviving the occasional hurricane is critical, but you also have to live in this space every single day during Florida's 90-plus degree summers. This is where the glass sunroom struggles. Glass traps incoming sunlight, a process called solar heat gain, which effectively turns your patio into a sweltering greenhouse. To keep that sealed room comfortable, you have to expand your home's HVAC system, which permanently drives up your monthly energy bill. An engineered screen enclosure does the exact opposite. It relies on natural cross-ventilation, allowing cooling breezes to flow continuously through the space. Even with that open airflow, the mesh still provides a complete physical barrier against disease-carrying mosquitoes and no-see-ums. You get the comfort of the outdoors without constantly spraying chemical foggers. A fully sealed glass room physically isolates you completely from the natural Florida environment. A screen filters out the worst elements, the bugs and the debris, while letting you actually enjoy the breeze. If you want the absolute best of both worlds, there is a premium hybrid option, motorized retractable screen systems. These systems give you an unobstructed open-air pavilion while you drink your morning coffee, and then roll down at sunset to create a completely sealed, bug-free room. Look at the smart tech integrated here. Automated sun and wind sensors monitor weather to adjust screens automatically. If wind reaches dangerous speeds, sensors retract the mesh safely into the housing. Built-in obstacle detection also prevents crushing patio furniture. Adding heavy-duty motors and sensors will increase your baseline construction costs, but by keeping the mesh rolled up and protected during extreme weather, you drastically extend the lifespan of the material. Motorized systems bridge the gap. They give you dynamic, on-demand climate control without permanently walling off your backyard. Let's lay all these variables on the table: upfront cost, thermal comfort, pest defense, and maintenance. This matrix breaks down exactly how glass and screen stack up. Glass provides a complete seal, but traps heat, requires constant cleaning, and demands a massive budget. Screen enclosures provide natural airflow, much lower costs, and permanent, zero-pesticide insect protection. Because of this low-maintenance appeal, screen structures offer an excellent return on investment. You can recoup up to 70% of the build cost in added home equity, simply because future buyers specifically look for breezy outdoor living spaces. If you need climate-controlled, luxury indoor square footage, a glass sunroom is your target. But for authentic, comfortable outdoor living, the screen enclosure is the clear value winner. But there is one final trap to avoid. Do not accept a suspiciously cheap bid from a contractor who cuts corners on the engineering and the permitting process. If a builder uses undersized aluminum frames just to meet the bare minimum code, a strong storm will collapse it entirely. Not only do you lose the structure, but your insurance company is likely to deny the claim. You have to partner with certified professionals who build heavy-gauge structures specifically engineered to absorb catastrophic wind loads. That's why Screen Factory Florida sets the regional standard for fully engineered, permitted, and inspector-approved enclosure builds. Their installations strictly utilize industry-leading marine-grade aluminum profiles and certified quiet drive motors to ensure your patio stands the test of time. Don't risk your home's equity on minimum code mesh. Check the description below to contact Screen Factory Florida today for a free site evaluation and an expert engineering estimate.